Well, I am super excited to have Brian Stegall, who joined us about 6-7 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Joined the SSI team, so welcome. Super excited.
Likewise.
Brian and I have been friends and started out as peers almost 13 years ago at McKesson, so obviously have known each other for a while. So what we really want to talk about here is commercial roles and how, as SSI has continued to grow and evolve, how we're going to make that area focus to bring more value to our clients and candidates. So company started in 2015. We've grown pretty extensively the last 7.5 years, doubled in revenue, 2 out of the last 3, but I think the key point is I started the company focused really on the front end of the business: regulatory affairs, quality, compliance, R&D, and engineering. And we didn't really, even though our backgrounds are very similar, I'll let you talk about that here in a second, our focus was really on getting products across the regulatory finish line, access to patient populations, and then making sure from a quality standpoint those products are safe, effective, and then cost effective, reproducible. But probably 2-3 years ago, we started to get more commercial roles, build relationships. People go, wait a minute, you have a background in marketing, you have a background in sales. So we've done those roles, but now we're going to officially go after those roles. So Why don't you talk a little bit about your background, Brian, and what your thoughts are on our targeting of commercial roles?
Sure. So, like you had mentioned, Darwin and I worked at McKesson Medical Surgical. I worked for Gulf South Medical Supply, who was purchased by McKesson. I worked there for 10 years as a sales rep, then went into leadership. And so that's kind of where the medical sales started. And then I had an opportunity to start a long-term care pharmacy. So I built a long-term care pharmacy. And so I've got a little bit of the marketing sales background on both sides from...
and understands the business side.
Sure.
And what that looks like from a P&L and an investment standpoint as well.
Exactly. That's quite different than the sales side.
It is, indeed.
So it's interesting to see the progression of particularly medical devices, biotech, when you started the business in regulatory. And then it's this whole progression of, and then now, how do we get that to market? How do we get it in the patient's hands?
Yep.
That's where I come in.
Absolutely. And I think as you look at I think there's a great opportunity for a paradigm shift in terms of the pandemic and where businesses go. Because in terms of commercial launch, right, once you have a product and you get it through the regulatory process and it's been FDA approved, you understand from a prototype, from design quality, that that product is in good shape and it's validated, and then you move to technology transfer. Now you've got what's your commercial launch look like? What does your reimbursement look like? What's your strategy to market there? And I think there's a great opportunity to bring more value in what those conversations look like, because for the pandemic, I think depending on the product and the category, that commercial launch was the perspective of what that looked like versus what it could be now. People are going to conferences by not even going because they're attending virtually. Access to physicians and your buyers, your payers, everything is different since the pandemic, right? So maybe you could speak a little bit about that in terms of those conversations on how you take digital, how you think outside of the box relevant to commercial launch.
Well, it's interesting that you and I had a conversation with a chief commercial officer not too long ago.
Right. And
his message was, listen, if you're not getting with the digital times, not pre-COVID, like what are you doing now? Because the days of going and knocking on doors, obviously in some markets it's still relevant.
Right.
But now people want that type of interaction. And so when you're talking about sales and marketing and getting products to market, you have to do it more creatively. And I was on a call the other day, and it was literally the same conversation with another chief commercial officer.
Right.
And so that is really important to know, how do we pivot, not because we're in COVID still, but how do we pivot from marketing those products like that.
And how disruption leads to improved processes, right? And greater value back. I think back to when I was at Philips Respironics and we were bringing the Trilogy over from Europe to the United States, and even thinking from a market access, knowledge of the product, exposure. We were looking at patient populations and looking at like the ALS clinics, right? There, we had a product that could guarantee tidal volume, which from a neuromuscular patient standpoint was a great value in terms of lengthening their quality of life, horrible disease process, and improving the quality of life for that period of time. So, we were going to the support groups and sharing and educating from a patient standpoint, right? There are opportunities in terms of social media, and there's opportunities to think outside of the box and how all that ties into your commercial launch. And I think it's a perfect opportunity for us to start focusing in those areas. We've had a lot of success. Our offer acceptance rates average 93% for 7.5 years on all positions, but it might even be a little bit higher on the commercial positions, marketing, product management, digital marketing. We've even done some ops piece relevant to that as well, and reimbursement. So I think the timing is perfect for you to come on. You fit our culture perfectly, and I'm really excited the value that we're going to bring to existing partner companies, future ones, and the candidates as well.
Agreed, and thank you for the opportunity, because it's good to work on the people side now as opposed to, for instance, selling products. I like working with potentially helping build teams for companies.
Absolutely.
So
awesome, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.